Good morning to you, Barry.
Good morning, Julia.
Now, there's been a lot of...
Can I just, before we start, can I just correct two things? One is...
I haven't even asked you a question yet, Barry.
Well, no, but you've made two statements, both of which are wrong.
Okay.
The first was that I disagreed with Jeremy. I don't. I fundamentally agree with what Jeremy said yesterday. And the other was that you said that it would be in a customs union, not the customs union, which was correct. But you then said, which is the same thing. And where they're fundamentally different, of course, is that at the moment, we, as part of the 28 European states, have the Commission negotiate on our behalf any agreement about tariffs and quotas with third-party countries. In what Jeremy was talking about yesterday, he made it very clear that what we would be doing in a customs union is we would have a say in those negotiations.
He was unable to specify how. Barry, let's go back to what. Let me correct your two corrections of mine, Barry.
Well, that would be fine.
Why don't we do that? Okay, you say you fundamentally agree with Jeremy Corbyn, and yet you know perfectly well. Only last summer you wrote an article yourself. Let's be honest. Absolutely. It wasn't an off-the-cuff remark on a TV show. It wasn't a tweet. You stated as an end point, staying in the customs union, you said as an end point, it is deeply unattractive.
Yes, in fact, and if you read what I said in full,
I've got it in front of me.
So do I, Julia, because I know you always do your homework, and therefore I do my homework when I come on your show as well. And what I referred to was a customs union agreement like that of Turkey. And what I said was that other countries such as Turkey have a separate customs union agreement with the EU. If we were to have a similar agreement, which of course yesterday's announcement was not, several things would follow. The EU's 27 members would set the common tariffs, and Britain would have no say in how they were set. So I've already corrected that problem that I identified last
you
year.
No, Barry, you haven't, because there is no method by which there is no method by which the British government would have a way of having any influence on that common tariff. We wouldn't have a veto. Well, look, we wouldn't have a vote.
I'm sorry. What Jeremy set out yesterday was incredibly clear on that point. And what he said was, he said he was, because he was asked the specific question.
Yes.
And he said that we would not be rule takers. We would only go into a customs union with the EU if we were co-decision makers, if we were rule makers.
On what basis would we be able to make decisions about the customs union if we were not actually part of the body that makes those decisions and makes those trade negotiations, i.e. the EU?
Well, look, there's many customs unions around the world, and the way in which they operate, if you take something like Mercosur in South America, the way in which they operate and the way in which it's perfectly possible for a customs union between the UK and the remaining countries of the EU to operate would be that the Commission and we put forward people to a forum where a mandate is agreed as to who we're going to negotiate with and what that negotiations would be about our tariffs and quotas for this third-party country. Let's call it Xanadu. And then that body that body would then negotiate on behalf of both parties, the EU on the one and us, as a customs.
Oh, no, in theory, Barry, that works brilliantly. Other than the fact there would be 20s. No. And if we were doing this in Narnia or Xanadu, this would work brilliantly. However, you've got 27 member states of the remaining EU, and they will be agreeing. And if you think that Jean-Claude Juncker, Guy Verhofstadt, and Donald Tusk, and any of the rest of them, Angela Merkel, anyone else, Emmanuel Macron, if you think they're going to agree to give the UK a veto over international trade agreements signed by the EU, you are stark, staring mad.
Right. Let me give you two reasons why, in fact, they might well agree. Okay, this is a negotiation, and what Jeremy set out was the starting point of, if we were conducting the negotiations, what we would be wanting to achieve. Okay? But let me give you two reasons why I think they might agree to just such an arrangement. The first is that it goes a long way, not the entire way, but a long way to solving the border problem in Ireland, which the EU have been very keen that we should solve, and which Leo Varadkar, as the Taoiseach in Ireland, is absolutely making a red line of any future relationship. That, of course, has been ruled out by the current government. Now, the second reason that I think they would be well disposed to this is because this is not just a problem. The tariffs and quotas coming in between us and the EU is not simply a problem for our businesses. It's also a problem for their businesses. They actually export more to us than we do to them. And therefore, we have leverage here because they don't want their businesses to have increased tariffs and quotas into the UK market. That would actually be extremely damaging to their economies. So on two counts, what this does is it actually provides the EU with very good reasons why they might actually agree to what we're suggesting.
Except,
what we're trying to hang on. Let me just try and.
You've spoken for quite a long time, Barry.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to present an innovative solution to two key problems that our businesses are facing and that we're facing in constitutional sense with the Good Friday Agreement. I think it's right that Her Majesty's opposition should put forward something that's constructive like this. And actually, let's face it, we're halfway through the negotiations and the government has not moved an inch on this. They've no idea how to solve the question in Ireland, and they've no idea how to solve the question that business has been saying for 18 months. Please, tell us, how are we going to get our goods into Europe? What's our trading relationship going to be? How are we going to sort out our supply chain?
All right. Now, Barry, this is the issue, though, isn't it? If we are inside a customs union, the customs union, we cease to have the ability to do our own international trade deals. Okay,
yeah,
and that's what you were pointing out in your article, The Guardian, last summer.
Yes,
as an endpoint, it is deeply unattractive.
Only for goods. Yeah,
only for goods. Well, yes, bearing in mind the customs union doesn't cover services, so that doesn't solve all the issues you're talking about. Now, what I want to know is this decision by Jeremy Corbyn, is this coming about as a result of a political awakening, a realization of where he wants Britain to be, or is this just a very cynical, as some people are saying, political move that is basically trying to separate off the Tory Remainer rebels to side with Labour in a bid, basically, to bring down the government and get a general election? Is this about the future of British jobs, as he claims, or is this just about the future of Jeremy Corbyn wanting the top job?
Well, look, we had in our manifesto at the last election over a year ago, we had set out very clearly that we believed that there were key benefits from the customs union that we had. We knew we couldn't stay in the customs union because it's an instrument of the treaties of the European Union. If you're no longer a member of the European Union, no longer subject to the treaties and can't be part of the customs union. But we said in our manifesto that we saw the benefits of that. We weren't wedded to the particular structures, but we wanted some way of getting those benefits. This is the way in which we can get those benefits. We can solve the problems that British business are facing. And actually, this is not about, the workings of machinations of politics. This is actually about business. That's why the CBI yesterday, as the premier business organization in this country, welcomed it, as did the unions. They both said this actually goes a long way to solving some of the key problems that we're going to face in terms of our supply chains and in making sure that we still have jobs for people, in 2-3 years' time after the transition period is over. So it's absolutely about the best interests of the country.
Okay.
And that's really important to get across.
And a lot of that, of course, assumes that Brussels will go with it. Given that Brussels has been very hardline on all their negotiations with the current government, there's no reason to think they'll be any different if there was a Jeremy Corbyn government. We know that the the European Commission is going to publish its draft withdrawal agreement tomorrow, and we're told there are an awful lot of red lines in there. You mentioned, of course, the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland and the like. Realistically,
well, you see, as I say, I've given you two.
You have given me two reasons
why actually it might be something that's attractive to them. But look, my point to you is this: this is something that is a serious contribution to the debate. We accept we're not in government at the moment. I wish we were, of course, but we're not.
Well, wait a minute. You'd be out of a job, Barry, if you were in government. You're shadow international trade secretary. There won't be any international trade for you to do deals on. What you're on the dole.
Julia, let's be clear. This is not about my future. This is about the future of the country. And that's why sometimes actually you have to say what's more important. And what we're concerned to do is to set out what we believe is a sensible way forward for British business, for British jobs, for our economy. I think this is precisely that. I think there are good reasons why it's something that the EU, were we to be in government, were we to be doing these negotiations, that they should take seriously. And I hope that the government, Theresa May, will see this as a positive contribution to that.
And do you think, just finally, you said that the CBI were welcoming of what you had to say. And of course, we know the CBI would very much like us not to be having Brexit at all. They've made that very, very clear. They think that's the British people have just made a terribly bad decision, as far as I can tell from their policy statements. Do you think, though, that in the prospect of a general election coming up, that the CBI would be supportive of a Jeremy Corbyn government as over, say, a Theresa May or other Tory government?
Look, I'm sure that the CBI will look at all of our policies together, and different members of the CBI will like different elements of our policies. The point is that as regards what Jeremy said yesterday, this is an innovative policy that we have put forward that solves key problems that Britain faces. And there's no getting away from that. We do. We face the problem of the border in Ireland. We face the problem of ensuring that our goods and our supply chain elements can keep crossing those borders without tariffs, without restrictions, and without huge queues at the border of trucks lined back. This actually goes a long way to solving both those problems, not only for us, but actually for Europe as well.
Even if it leaves Barry Gardiner out of a job, we'll have to leave it there. Shadow International Trade Secretary, Labour MP for Brent North, Barry Gardiner, thank you for joining us.